or else the tears won't come forth. You know why? In this case, it's not easy to bring out the crocodile tears. You can't pretending anyway. If they don't feel it very deep, they don't want to cry in front of people who want to put on a show. Everybody will try to hide if they can, you see. But if they really are sincere, they can't hide it. It just comes by itself. It doesn't matter who you are. We see lots of people there, whether they be men or women. It is a sincerity. And this way should be practiced with all sincerity. It's important to stress that don't look for the way apart from you. This is very important. Why? Because if you don't realize it is this way, you can easily deviate and you can just lose your way and you can go on wandering for whatever length of time until you can come to realize that this way is still within your own self, in your own heart, in your own nature. This advice has been given freely before by others, as far as I know, but many people still don't realize. They still look elsewhere, trying to go to the heavens, trying to look everywhere, trying to develop means and ways of trying to go up somewhere, someplace, sometime. But then, just to remind you people that if your goal is Nibbana, if you are not seeking rebirth anywhere in any realm, in anywhere at all in space or time, if you are not seeking rebirth, if you are seeking cessation, if you are seeking Nibbana, then you should not try to cultivate to go to any realm of existence. That is still samsara. Any realm of existence is still samsara, not Nibbana. Nibbana has no realm of existence. That is why you can only find it in your own nature. You are not trying to reach out to any realm of existence because there is still samsara. To get out of samsara, no more realms of existence. And later we go into the Dharma, we will see how all realms of existence are created by your own mind and all belong to your own mind. If you can understand the nature of your own mind, you can understand the nature of all realms of existence. Very simple. Come back to your mind and see how all realms of existence arise because mind has a reason. It's so simple as that. Needs no magic, needs no show, needs nothing. Only the wisdom and understanding. If you can develop that wisdom through cultivating the way of your own heart, of your own nature, and not any other way. If Nibbana is your goal, if you are seeking to be reborn elsewhere, anywhere, then that's a different matter because your way is not Nibbana anymore. It is not the way taught by Sakyamuni Buddha because his way leads to Nibbana and not to any other realm of existence. Just as in the Dhammapada he has said, the way of the enlightened ones nobody knows, not even the Devas. They even do not know. Only those who truly walk the way will know and understand where Nibbana leads to. It is not in the sky, not in the air, not down in the earth, nowhere. Nowhere can you find a place called Nibbana. The only place you can find is your own heart, your own nature. So this is to remind practitioners of the way not to lose their way and not to be attracted by all kinds of power, all kinds of show, all kinds of display of anything whatsoever. Always remember Nibbana, cessation, the signless, no mark, no dwellings anywhere at all. It is the ultimate liberation and the ultimate bliss. It is not staying anywhere, going anywhere, finding anything at all. Find yourself, perhaps, but not finding anything at all. Not in terms of form, not in terms of mind, no, not in terms of all those things. Just find it in yourself. Because ultimately, Nibbana goes beyond all form and mind. If you can't transcend form, if you can't transcend mind, then Nirvana is not yet in sight. So we just go back to our teaching, the teaching that we had before, just to revise the basics which we spoke about before. And going back to the basics of Sila, of Metta, of Dana, and respect to the Triple Gem. We always begin with Sila, the first base, or we say the first of all the practices, because this is the foundation of the way, the foundation for meditation. The Sila base is the most important because it is the principal pillar in the cultivation of the way. Maybe the Sila or the precepts may appear something very simple, very common, that people take for practice, and they consider that if they know the 5 precepts, that they already have the precept, that they have the Sila. Now this base is so important because your meditation and the way rests on this base. We say pillar for meditation. Because without Sila, there is no real meditation, and its way is hard really for people to take or to cultivate. Understanding or knowing the precepts is okay, but more important is to really practice these precepts sincerely, truly, thoroughly. Now, in the beginning, we take precepts as guidance. Without the guidance of the precepts, we cannot control our actions and our activities. Whether thought, speech, or action. If we have a guide, at least we know that this is the way we should do things. We know what we should do, we know what we shouldn't do. It is the guideline that we take, and following the guideline of the precepts, we know how to control our actions and our activities and to keep to certain limitations. Guidance is important because without guidance we have no control. And if we have no control, then the karmic base, all karma will be created. And if we have no guidance, more likely to create the unfavorable karma than the favorable ones. And that means that kind of karma is going to be a problem. Because without the proper base of Sila, it's very easy to go wrong. It's very easy to fall into the lower realms of rebirth. It's just the Chinese saying, or going down the hill, simple, going up is difficult. Or if you want to learn evil, you can do in 3 days. You want to do good, cultivate the good, it may take 3 years, something like that. Without the guidance of the precept, we don't walk in step. We simply fall. It's the precepts that make us walk in step, walk properly, and know what to do and what not to do. Something so simple, but it means a lot. Because without guidance and no control, very easy to go down, very hard to come up. And if you have no guidance, you don't know where to turn. It's guidance that keep you in step, keep you in line, help you control, show you what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And this basic guidance is very important to create favorable conditions for yourself, to avoid the unfavorable ones by adopting skillful ways, avoiding unskillful ways. And this is important because if you don't have the proper karma, the way is also so hard to find, so hard to receive and put into practice. So this precept is to keep you safe so that you have good conditions for yourself. And good conditions are necessary to be able to receive and practice Buddha's teaching. As we have said, it is the highest teaching, very hard to come by. And we need merits to be able to receive this teaching. So take the precept as guidance. Now going beyond guidance, if we have a proper guide, at least we have some insight into the way that we are trying to cultivate. Now, besides guidance, if we keep to the precepts, we cultivate good habits to replace old habits or bad habits that are not favorable to us. Everything must be cultivated and practiced until you can develop them, until they can become like good habits that you have them and you can develop them further. Sometimes good habits are not easy to cultivate, the bad ones come easy. So if you make effort at your sila, you cultivate a good habit to replace the unfavorable ones. And if good habits will eventually support the way for you. Now, going beyond that, if we keep to the good, if we avoid doing the evil, then we have created good conditions for ourselves. We have cut out unfavorable conditions. Then also the good that we do will bring us the merits in return, and we do not create demerits at all. Again, the good that we do eventually becomes protection for us from all negative aspects and negative situations, because whatever good you have done will be like merits or like the good that will protect you from the evil effects. If you do not have negative causes, there will not be negative effects. So it's a protection for you. If you create all the good causes, then there is only the good effects. They protect you from unnecessary evil, unnecessary suffering. So that is protection internally and externally. Inside, it protects you because you are cultivating the good, and the good forces and the positive forces arising within you, giving you a positive aspect within yourself, or positive mind, or positive energy. And if you have this positive energy, external forces will not be able to cause any harm to you, because this good in yourself is your own protection against all negative aspects. And another aspect is that if you train yourself in the sila, this will form the basis of the training rules for cultivating the way. It is laying the foundation for cultivating the way. Because when you cultivate the way, you have training rules to guide you again, so that you will not deviate from the way. So this is establishing the foundation for the training rules for cultivating the way. Now we call it establishing the training grounds. And when you establish the precepts, you are already building the basic foundation, most important foundation, and the pillar to support your meditation and to support your cultivating of the way. Just to show you that the sila is very important. And initially you take precepts as guide, as training rules. Eventually, if you practice and train until these precepts can become a part of you and a part of your nature, then you have the precepts within your own heart and your own nature, and you will no longer be training rules. It will be a part of your nature. It will be the way you are. You will naturally accord with the way, because you already have realized these precepts within your own self. So that is the first foundation, as we have taught before, or the first of the four basics. Always do not overlook the precept. Simple. Sometimes you think you are keeping the precepts, but always be mindful of the precept. Mindful that if you think you keep, make sure you do. Keeping the precept means always mindful of the precept, always aware of the precept, and know that whatever you do, go according to the way it should be. So if you really train this way, then you will find precepts once established in yourself will give you the important base, very essential for cultivating the way. Because this is part of purification, that is why the precepts are important. Once you start to keep the precept, then you start this purification process. And this process will be developed further as you go along the way. So this is the training ground. This is establishing the foundation. So the precept will be the first, because it's very important. As we know, this way consists of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. And Sila, now, you are establishing it. See, that is already taking the way, cultivating the way, establish the foundation for the Samadhi. And from the Samadhi, the Panya will come. So when you really practice the Sila, you are already cultivating the way as Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So this one as base and foundation for meditation. From there, the wisdom will come. So if you keep this in mind, the Sila, Samadhi, and the Panya, then you will see the importance of the Sila, because this is the way. Now, try to cultivate the precept to the best of your ability. Sometimes you may have shortcomings. Sometimes you may make excuses for yourself. Sometimes maybe necessary. But try as far as possible to really keep the precept well. And hold this precept to your heart each day as you begin your day. Mindful of the precept. Each day, before you end that day, again, mindful of the precept. Always go back and contemplate this precept and see how you have managed during the day, how you have kept your precepts. There's your guideline, training, protection, developing the good within you, and now foundation for the way. Once established, you have this foundation, it is very good. Why? This way is so easy to lose, very hard to find. And once you've lost it again, very hard to come back. That's why this first rule is always stressed, very important. The path of purification. Therefore, the Sila comes first. It is path of purification. See, not seeking anything anywhere to purify yourself, to get rid of all defilement. Then only can you really realize the way that is truly purification. Not acquiring things, not acquiring anything, not trying to get anywhere. Remember, path of purification with its characteristic detachment. Really to detach or not to attach. This also must be stressed, because why? People always attach without realizing. Not they intentionally want to attach. They know they don't have to attach. They know they don't want to attach. They know they have to practice detachment. But without their mindfulness, they always attach instead of detaching. Unintentionally, unconsciously, they just do it this way. Why? The mind had been like that for so long. Doing that thing all the while, they were never aware before. So if now the mindfulness is not strong, they just automatically attach without realizing. Now this is also important to examine yourself carefully. I have to stress detachment. Why? Because if I don't stress on detachment, the attachment always works very fast, and people are going to lose the way and deviate very fast from the past until now. The attachment has been so strong. That is why it's very hard to practice detachment. You are pulled away before you realize anything has happened. And before even you realize, you're gone. That is so fast. This is true. You see, it may appear very funny, but if you examine clearly, then you find this is why all beings have been lost for so long. And will continue to be lost if they are still unaware, if they wake up from your sleep of delusion, then only can you see the true nature. Do you have the true light of the true nature? And when we mention light, it's not in the form of any light that you can see, not in the form of any visible light, not in light form, no. It's just waking up from delusion, clearing your mind, purifying your mind until so pure. The purity itself we call light, not any visible light or form of light, but purity that is called light of enlightenment, clear vision, pure insight, seeing reality, seeing the truth. They call light, they call purification. Just waking up and open up. Now this has to be made clear, because sometimes a lot of misunderstanding can arise when you say light of enlightenment, and people seize upon the word light and thinking, oh, that's the real light. The real light is not in the form of any light whatsoever. It's just that you yourself wake up from your sleep of delusion. Just wake up. Then you realize things are different from what they were before. Then you see things in a different light. Not seeing light itself, but seeing in a different way, a different way of seeing, a clear way of seeing, the direct way of seeing reality. This one has to be clear. Light of enlightenment is to wake up from the sleep of delusion and to see and realize the reality, the truth of life. And that is realization. It has a different significance if you don't understand really what this enlightenment is, waking up is, and what light really means. In this way, we always have to emphasize why the sila is very important and why we practice the mindfulness together with that sila. See, without sila, so easy to go wrong because of the human defilement, the human weaknesses, and because most beings still are asleep, they haven't woke up yet. That is why sometimes we have to do it this way. We have to emphasize so strongly, so that I hope it will knock people's head that they will come to realize. Cultivating the way is not just go as you like, and when you just don't bother, you really have to wake up. So you have to put in effort to wake up. You always have to stress effort, because sometimes people don't take it seriously enough. The lack of effort, sometimes they find that they can't move ahead, or they are stuck or something like that. But effort is always necessary, because without effort, very hard to establish the meditation, very hard to establish the mindfulness. That's why you have to stress on effort and stress on detachment. Because if you start attaching anywhere, then obstruction has arisen. See, and there is always the danger there. Clinging, if you understand, is what has caused beings to suffer for so long. That's why you always have to stress detachment. It is very easy for the mind to grasp at anything instantly, immediately, without knowing, and to take that as the reality. So that is why we have to stress so many things again and again. Now that is for sila. To stress importance of sila at all times. Now going beyond sila, we go back to the metta, the cultivating of loving kindness for all living beings. Now practicing of metta, we taught before, should come from your own heart. They are in the heart or nature of the living beings, the defilements are so strong, and the negative aspects arise very easily. Things like ill will, like jealousy, like hatred, and all those defilements that we have, resentment, and all the negative aspects. We can have a long list of them. Now, all these constantly arise within our nature. We have to counter this negative effect within ourselves, and one way of doing that is to cultivate the loving kindness for all living beings. If we keep on trying to cultivate metta, then in the process of cultivating metta, we bring out the goodness in ourselves. At the same time, we overcome all the negative aspects within ourselves. So in this way, we are already cultivating the way in that we are bringing up the good in ourselves and eradicating the defilement. Here you see, if you do this, you are already cultivating the way. You are already walking the way, trying to bring out the good aspect and trying to put out the defilement. Now this is already cultivating the way, establishing the foundation for cultivating the way. See, this next foundation, although you may think the metta is nothing much, it's a lot in there, because this is already the beginning of cultivating the way. We have to eradicate our defilement and cultivate the good in ourselves. So this, when you start to do this one, you're already walking the way. And if you keep on doing this, then the goodness will arise in you, see? And the defilements will gradually be minimized and brought down, or eventually to eradicate. But when you start doing this, you are already cultivating the way. So metta cannot be overlooked. And besides, if you cultivate this way, then your nature also will develop positively. So it's not just trying to get the metta out from within you, but this metta is going to influence yourself, and eventually it will change your own nature, because you have to change for the better. You can't keep on going the way you are. You have to change, and this one will change you from within. The metta will change you from within, which is essential, because this way is the way of the heart, the way of the nature. You've got to change from within. So if when you yourself change from within, you can also influence the without. The goodness that comes from you can also influence others externally. So it's another thing that works internally and externally. The good coming from you will eventually bring good to others all around you. And this is very essential. We really have to change for the better. And also, cultivating the metta has a good effect everywhere, inside and outside. And it gives this kindness, it radiates this kindness everywhere, and beneficial to all beings. And because of metta, no ill will arise. And no ill will arise, no evil action will arise. That again takes care of your karma, takes care of the karmic base, creating good karma, creating good condition for you. So all this helps in cultivating the way, strengthening the base, strengthening the foundation for your meditation and for cultivating the way, to make you see clearly how important it is to have this metta base, that loving kindness. If you don't have this kindness, should negative aspects arise, then all these negative aspects that arise become obstruction to you, and becomes ill effect that goes around from you to others, and that's producing a lot of negative karmic energy. That is why it's important to have good will, to create good karma and good karmic force as another prerequisite of cultivating the way. All positive aspects are all beneficial, and this is laying another foundation, because meditation depends also on yourself, on your own goodness, on your own goodwill and on a positive aspect and on good karma. So it affects you, it affects others, it affects your inside, it affects outside, and also takes care of your karma. And at the same time, this is also walking the way, cultivating the way, and providing a strong base for your meditation. Because the good will is very important to keep you away from all evil action that will generate negative karmic effect that will obstruct you and create suffering for the future. If you have good will, you are not going to commit any evil action. It takes care of a karma. It takes care of you now. It takes care of you in the future. Just as the sila base, all the goodness that you develop from these practices take care of you now, take care of you in the future. So you see the benefits not only in this lifetime, but in your future lifetime as well. If you can lay a good base now, it will take care of you until the day you can realize nirvana. That is why laying the foundation is so important. Without this foundation, you get into trouble so easily. You will fall very easily if you don't have a strong base. Then we can go back into that later. Now, to go back to the 4 basics, and now we have the dana. Dana is generosity, the giving from your heart to benefit all living beings. Most people all have ego. Because of ego, you have self-centeredness. Because you have self-centeredness, you have selfishness, you have greed. Because you have greed, you have all these desires to get things only for yourself and not to give out to others. If you do not practice anything to counter this, then this ego and self-centeredness and all this greed and desire become very, very strong, and that will generate the kind of karmic energy that will take you down to the lower realms of rebirth. That is why we have to counter that. So we practice giving or dana to overcome our own selfish nature, our own greed, our own desire to get things for ourselves, not to bother about other people or to get anything for ourselves at the expense of anything, at the expense of other people, whatever it is. If you don't overcome this greed can be that way, and that is very unfavorable to most people. That is why in order to overcome that, we practice dana, to overcome the negative tendency within us, and also to bring down this ego self. Ego self is always self-centered. So we open up our hearts, then we try to give to benefit others right from our heart, and to open up this ego self in our heart, and we generate this positive force of generosity, so that we can really open up our hearts and expand our own goodness. And this is another virtue to cultivate. So if you can practice dana effectively, eventually you will have a real positive, open and giving nature, always ready to give to benefit others. And this one will generate a lot of merit for you, although we don't attach to the merit, but it's a way to acquire merit, not only for yourself, but also we share with others, so that these merits will benefit you, it will benefit other people. The merits that you acquire, you again share with all living beings, so that the merits will really go around and will help many living beings. So this practice of dana, of giving, to overcome your own selfishness, your own self-centeredness and greed, and your own ego, eventually to share with others and multiply these benefits all around. So basically this is a strong base to cultivate, because this open-heartedness overcomes that greed, that selfishness, is also another foundation for the way, another requisite to cultivate this way. So it opens up your heart, and when your heart is open, the way also will open to you. You see that if you can eradicate defilement, something so great as greed, as desire, as self-centeredness, you can overcome that. That one alone is a very good, strong foundation for cultivating the way and will benefit you in your meditation to develop unselfishness, to develop the capacity to really give to benefit others, to become selfless, not so concerned yourself now, but how to benefit other living beings. It will make you a much better person, not to be greedy, but to be generous. And from here you see that you are changing yourself, changing your own nature. So here you see it is already cultivating the way. You are already changing yourself into a more positive person and trying to eradicate the defilement. See, by doing this is also a part of cultivating the way. It is not something done separately. No, it is a part of the way. All the way, all that you do eventually will link up, the good or the bad. So this one also will link you to the way. That is why we say it's foundation for the way. Foundation for meditation with a basic building foundation. So your heart can open up to the way. And also eradicate defilement. You also remember to do sadhana and to acquire the merits, because also to cultivate this way we do require the merits, although we don't attach and we share with all living beings. See, we don't think that when we do the merits it's for us alone. No, we do it also to benefit all living beings, basically to benefit them. See, when we do it from our heart. So we just give. So we just say the dana with no self. You just give. That's all. That is the way to practice dana, giving to benefit all living beings. And remember, this is an important foundation of the way. Because greed actually is a very big defilement. And we can take care of this big defilement, greed and selfishness and self-centeredness. That alone is very beneficial. Because of this greed, because of self-centeredness, because of selfishness and ego, life becomes troublesome, difficult, and people have a lot of problems. That is why it is important to get rid of this very big defilement, and we start by practicing the Dharma. The greed is terrible. Now we go on to the last one. The respect to the Triple Gem. Now, paying respect to the Triple Gem, we do the bowing from our heart. We always say we do from our heart. Whether we practice Sila, whether we practice Metta, and whether we practice Dana, whether we practice reverence to the Triple Gem, we do it from our heart with all sincerity. Pay respect to the Triple Gem, because why? This way is brought to you by the Triple Gem. This way that is found within the Triple Gem. The way of the Triple Gem. This way which you are now trying to cultivate. The way of the Triple Gem. Because of this Triple Gem, you have this way. So you bow from your heart, respect for the Triple Gem, grateful for this way that you have found. So you show respect to the Triple Gem. And in doing this, in showing respect to the Triple Gem, we are creating our affinity with the Triple Gem. And when we have this affinity with the Triple Gem, we have a link to the Triple Gem. We have a link to the way. This way to be found only within the Triple Gem. It's why it's so important to pay respect and create our affinity with the Triple Gem, so that we can have this way, that we can truly practice successfully. That's why we pay respect to the Triple Gem. Besides, the first of the Triple Gem, the Buddha, is the master of all the disciples who take this way, the way taught by the Buddha. He is still the master, dead or alive, here or not, wherever Buddha may be. He is still the master. He is still the Buddha who brought the Dharma, the teaching for the people to practice. So the Buddha brought the Dhamma. We pay respect to the Buddha. He brought the Dhamma for the living beings. And Dhamma, the teaching, the guide for the living beings, His way that is shown to the living beings. You pay your respect to the Master, to the teaching, which is now your guide, which provide a guide for you, which shows the way to you, the way you are now going to take. And also to the Sangha, the true practices of the way, who, in the absence of the Buddha in life form, show you the way. They who learn, they who practice, they who walk the way, will show you the way. That is why we show respect. The Buddha as the Master who brought this way to you, His teaching, His legacy, giving you all you require to find the way. Because without the Dhamma, you also don't have a guide to the way. And the Sangha, those who practice this way, those who know this way, who help the living beings to walk this way. That's why show the respect and create an affinity and link to the Triple Gem, so that you will find this way easily, that you will be able to receive and practice this way. So it's the importance of showing respect to the Triple Gem. I will repeat again what I said before. When you chant the Buddha's name, the Buddha will hear you. When you bow, the Buddha will see you. Because you are creating affinity with the Triple Gem. And the Buddha, being universal force, will be present everywhere. And this universal force will work in His own way, unseen, unknown by the living beings. You may think the Buddha is not there, but the Buddha need not appear in person. A universal force, a universal consciousness that pervades everywhere, will always take care of a true disciple who truly practice. And when they pay respect to the Triple Gem, the Buddha knows, although you may not be aware, because you are creating affinity with the Triple Gem. That is why this aspect is important, because you are cultivating this way, the way of the Triple Gem. That is why you create affinity with the Triple Gem, so that you will always have the way until the day you can realize Nibbana. Nibbana is taught again by the Triple Gem. You see, your way is entirely way of the Triple Gem. That's why you have to create affinity and really show your respect. And also, once you have realized, you yourself will appreciate in your heart, then the respect will come from your own heart. True appreciation, and when you bow, it will be truly from your heart. That's why we say we bow from our heart. In true appreciation, the way of the Triple Gem, the way of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And this way, very hard to come by for the living beings, and to put into practice, also very difficult. That is why show the respect, this way that you take, so that you have this karmic link, now and in the future, until the day you realize. So it's just another strong aspect, this also to help establish your way, your foundation. And besides showing the respect, when you bow, you are also bringing down your ego at the same time. Also, good for you to exercise. And also, this bowing will eventually make you a better person, in the sense that you can bring yourself down. Then only can you see the way. If you are so high up, you won't see this way. Because why? We again come back to the simplicity and the sincerity and the humility again, the virtues that you cultivate as you go along. If we can bring ourselves down, we can bring our ego down, then only this ego that is bent again and again, easy to come down. This ego must come down if we want to cultivate this way. The big ego, always obstruction. It makes you blind to the way. You only see yourself, all your own worthiness, all self-importance. Because this way it blinds the living beings so much. That is why it's important to bring down this big ego and bend down and bow down. This ego must go, and once the ego goes, then only will you see the reality and the true light of the Buddha Dharma. You yourself will realize your own true nature if only the ego will go. That is why bring down this ego. Ego always obstruction, always remember that. The bigger the ego, the greater the obstruction. So this is another aspect of paying respect to the Triple Gem. So linking to the way is very important. There are many practitioners of the way who appear to be practicing, but who are not really linked to the way. And many think they have the way, but they don't really have this way. Because this is not an external path, not an external way that you can't seek anywhere else except within the Triple Gem, in your own heart, your own nature. Always remember that. I have to stress this often because so many people lose the way just because they don't see the way, they don't know the way, they don't understand the way. Although they are in contact with the Buddha Dharma, still they have no way. Lots of people just get lost. Why? Because they don't realize what this way is all about. That is why it's important to develop a good, strong base. These 4 basics help you to establish a strong foundation for the way, for cultivating the way, and for meditation, which is the most important aspect of the way. If you do not meditate properly, if you do not meditate the right way, you will not have the way. So important to get it right. That is why we have right effort, we have right mindfulness, we have right concentration. Right. Remember that. There can be all kinds of meditation, but get the right one and get it right. For that, we have to say Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. For that reason, the Buddha did that. We had to put everything right. From the Noble Eightfold Path, the first one to the last one, 1 to 8, all right. If he doesn't put right, it can be anything. That is why he has to put right. If you don't get it right, you don't have this way. You can do any kind of thing, any meditation, anything. But if it's not the Samma Sati nor the Samma Samadhi, you do not have this way of purification that leads to Nibbana. You have to make this way clear, because this way cannot be seen by the human eye anywhere at all in the entire existence. That is why a way of the heart, a way of the nature that is not visible externally is difficult to find, difficult to realize. Most people cultivating the way, if they don't have it right, they don't have this way. And if you don't know, you are lost. But they don't have the way. And this way, sometimes certain aspect of it, so subtle, so hard to actually even to come to see it at all. It is not a way that's clear and open. I always use a comparison. It's not like the way from KL to PJ or vice versa. That you can see, oh, there's a road there that you can follow. No. It's not something visible that you can see. Why? Because it's an internal path. Not unless you can see inside. You can't really see clearly. That's why it's difficult to see. See, and all people seeking externally don't realize it should be the other way around. Is to make this path very clear. Now, 4 basics, the 4 foundation of the way. You could do this very well, and this 4 basics, foundation of the way, will support your meditation. Strong base for your meditation, for mindfulness, to arise. And eventually, the mindfulness will give rise to the right samadhi. So, for base for cultivating the way for cultivating your meditation, then you establish the right mindfulness, and eventually leading to samadhi. So these four basics practiced together with mindfulness, and this is establishing the way, putting the foundation, building up strong foundation, and when this foundation is well built, it will support your meditation. And this meditation, well supported, practiced properly, will eventually give you the way and the fruition of the way. Because without base, without proper foundation, and without a proper mindfulness and proper meditation, it is very easy just to lose this way. Lots of people practice meditation without proper foundation. Eventually, they find themselves elsewhere, or they are not aware that they have gone elsewhere, that they have lost the way. Just one thought that is not right, and the way is gone. That's simple. You know, like the snap of a finger, you can just lose the way. Why? If you don't have a strong foundation, you don't have a strong mindfulness, then the foundation for the right practice is not there. That's why we teach again the four basics as base and foundation for meditation. And if you have the right base, the right meditation, you have the way. So the four basics will lead to the right mindfulness. Right mindfulness will lead to right concentration, and right concentration will lead to the wisdom. And from there, Nibbana can be realized. So don't underestimate something so simple as sila, as metta, as dana, and as reference to the triple gem. Always remember sila, the first pillar and the first base. So we come back to the sila, samadhi, and panya. This is to explain to you how to start building the foundation, and then to go from there to the right meditation, and eventually to realize the panya and nibbana. And this is actually how to cultivate the way, how to cultivate foundation and meditation, and eventually to realize the way.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Now when we look at cultivating the way, because this way, the way of the wisdom, the wisdom path, way of wisdom, has many different levels of understanding. Just like we have first sainthood, second sainthood, third sainthood, the fourth sainthood, all the Arahant stage. Beyond that, we have different stages of the Bodhisattva way leading to supreme enlightenment or to becoming Buddha. Now, this way is very long, right from the beginning to the end. It has so many different stages and so many different levels. Now, when one has come to a certain level, the person has the wisdom and the knowledge of that particular level, but he has not got the knowledge of other levels. That is why when we come to a certain level, we have the wisdom, the knowledge and understanding of that level. And our understanding is to that level only. Therefore, when we come to a certain level, it doesn't mean that we know all levels, unless your level is the final one. If you have not completed the way, if you have not come to the final level, there are still levels which you have not realized, you have not come to. And therefore, those levels are still not known to you. Still have to cultivate until you get there before you can realize that. Therefore, when a person is at a particular level, that person will see things from that particular level's point of view. His knowledge and understanding will be that level. Since he's not able to see other levels as yet, he can't understand what the other levels are like. Therefore, you should understand that if you see at your level, that's your level of understanding. See, and that understanding may not be the same as another level or higher level. Therefore, when we don't understand certain aspects of the way, or we see something that we don't comprehend, then it is always advisable to keep an open mind. You do not have to criticize or attack or do or say anything unnecessary. Sometimes what we don't understand at this moment, at this period of time, we can always understand later when we come to that level. Then we will see from another level's point of view, things may appear different. They have a different way of seeing and understanding. When one goes from one level to the next, then things will become even clearer, more detailed, more refined, deeper, more profound, and the seeing will be very different. The same thing that you saw at one level may appear very different in another level or at another level. And that very same thing can have so many different aspects that living beings won't really come to know until they themselves come to the end of the way. And because living beings are at different levels of understanding, they all have different views, different level of wisdom. They comprehend things differently. It is because of this. There are many things we don't understand. That is why we always advise the devotees, if there's anything you're not clear about, if there's anything you're not sure, that you can't see clearly, if you have doubts, or if you don't know, don't condemn, or criticize, or attack. Just keep an open mind. There's always room to grow, always room to improve, to learn more things. There are always things that we don't know. That is why good to keep an open mind. Don't commit unnecessary negative karma, because sometimes what you attack and condemn may be or may turn out to be just another level of wisdom, another level of seeing. It could be a higher level of realization which you at this moment do not understand and have no way of knowing, because that is not your level. That is why always keep an open mind. One day perhaps we will learn to understand what we now don't understand. Then you will appreciate that you have kept an open mind. You have not condemned and created karmic obstruction for yourself. This is protecting yourself, safeguarding yourself, that you do not create unnecessary obstruction to yourself. This way of the Buddha is very deep, very profound. That is why there are so many things people don't understand about this way. You may understand to a certain extent, to a certain level. That is your level of wisdom, your level of understanding. So we appreciate we have a certain level, or we are at a certain level of understanding, that there are others that we have not come across yet, perhaps not our time yet, perhaps in the future we will get to those levels. So just remember, keep an open mind and don't be so hasty to condemn everywhere. Always leave yourself room to move, because if you should do that and one day come to realize what you have condemned is something deep, profound, true, then that becomes an obstruction to you. You can regret for a long time. That is why always Be mindful. Be careful. Don't be too hasty. You can always contemplate. You can always meditate on anything you don't understand. You can always inquire as far as possible from reliable sources. If you can understand, good. If you can't, never mind. Just keep in mind, as you go along, perhaps one day in the future you will come to know and understand what you now cannot know and cannot understand. Sometimes simple things, if you view from different points, they appear different. You have your own view, others have theirs. Sometimes may be different, but then there's only a different point of view. All people have their own point of view, and from your point of view, you see your own way. The same thing, seen by different people, can be seen in different ways, can appear very different. Each being sees his or her own way, and you will not know and understand the true nature of that thing until and unless you can see it clearly, you can see it thoroughly, you can see it completely. If you don't see it that way, you don't have full comprehension of that thing. And whatever you see at your level is your own level of seeing, your own way of seeing. That is why in this world, people all have different opinions, all have different ways. See, and everyone thinks he is right, everyone thinks he is number one, and that all others are not right. Just that people who don't realize. You have your own way of seeing, which you think is right, and other people's way of seeing may appear incorrect. But that's their way of seeing, you have your own way of seeing. So each person has his own way of seeing, of understanding, according to your own level. So if you can't appreciate or can't understand anything beyond that, have patience. Keep an open mind until perhaps later you come to learn more about that and have a better understanding. So this keep in mind. Sometimes a lot of things are beyond our mind. The human mind has its limitation. It can understand only to a certain extent, according to its own capacity of understanding. There are so many things beyond the human mind, beyond what the human mind can ever think, beyond what the human mind can ever imagine, completely beyond the human mind, beyond its level. So many things so incomprehensible. But those who have realized those levels, that is their level of understanding, to them is comprehensible, to them is clear, that is their knowledge, that is their understanding, born of their realization, that is their level. And always remember, if someone is at a lower level, you can't see the higher levels, but those at the higher level can see the lower level. That is why always the higher levels can understand the lower level, but the lower level cannot understand the higher level. It is simple, natural law, simple Dharma, nothing so complicated. But it's because being so blind, the ego is so big, they don't see this reality. Everybody thinks he's number one, that he knows the most, that he is the most correct. That is natural. That is the way of the living being. That is the way of the ego, the way of the mind, the way of the mundane mind, the way of the false mind, the way the false mind sees. That is the way it is. Your mind will see its own way and will act according to its own seeing. That is the way of the living beings. We say the way of the mundane mind, the way of the false mind. This is the way the mind sees. If you have the true pure mind, that true pure mind will see things differently again. That is why always keep this in mind. This open mind will really be beneficial to you. Don't create unnecessary obstruction. and don't cause unnecessary problem and trouble among yourself and among people. Learn to accommodate a lot of things, even if you may not agree. Learn to understand and learn to tolerate, learn to accommodate, and learn to learn. The next basic, the fifth one, to add to the four basics we have already taught: patience. Learn to develop patience, tolerance, endurance. This to back up. Now we come to patience as the fifth of the virtues we have to cultivate, as also base for cultivation. Now when we cultivate the four basics plus this one, fifth, added to make five now, when we cultivate these basics, or in other words, virtues, when we cultivate this one, this is the way proper. We are actually now cultivating the way and walking the way. Besides basics or foundations of the way, these very foundations that may not appear so important to you are also foundation for those who want to take Bodhisattva way. They too will have to start building strong foundation for the way. That is why these basics benefit those who wish to take the Arahant path and those who wish to take the Bodhisattva way. They all will have to establish strong foundation. When these foundations are established, these virtues will become basis for paramita development. Even the big must come from the small. If you underestimate the base, you can't go to the top because your foundation will be shaky. So building the base for the way, for those who wish to take Arahant and those who wish to take Bodhisattva way, basics and foundation eventually will be developed into perfections or paramita. You really got to begin to establish this foundation, because even paramitas also must come from the start, from the beginning. They have to establish that as well. If you don't establish a foundation, how can you build that big, tall building without a foundation? Perfections sound very nice, but perfections come from foundation. And the right perfections come from the right foundation. Without foundation, no perfection. However, people may claim and talk big because the word perfection sounds very big. But the big has its beginning in the small. Just like you have your beginning from one single thought. From one single thought comes everything. Therefore, even for those wanting to cultivate perfection, that also comes from basics and foundation. Building it right, it will grow. If you don't build it right, it will not grow. Either it will be stunted, or it will wither, or it will go astray. That is why always remember basics and foundation, very important for cultivators of the way. Don't underestimate and think, oh, that's nothing. We look for things higher, things bigger. This is nothing. This is very simple and common. Maybe appear to be, but always remember, big comes from small. If you don't have this base, the big cannot stand heavy weight on its own without base. It can't stand. It's going to collapse. That is why many people in this world have gone wrong. Many have deviated from the proper way. Many have lost the way, sometimes pitiful, without even realizing that this is what has happened. Many people still think they have the way. Still think they have the way. They think. Thinking is different from the reality. Thinking is your own mind's activity, your own mind's creation, born of ignorance. If you don't have the ignorance, you will have the truth, the reality, the enlightenment. Therefore, if you are still not enlightened, you have that ignorance still with you. Therefore, the ignorant mind, still in darkness, always thinks it is always right, that it will have whatever it wants to have. That is thinking, that is mental formation, that is born of the ignorant mind. For the true mind, the clear mind, there is already the reality, there is already the truth. Because the truth is there, the truth has been realized, there is no need for the mind to create anything at all. After all, creation brings samsara. It is cessation that leads to nibbana. Therefore, the mundane mind always creates. That's why we have this endless samsara. If this mundane mind does not create, that is the end to samsara. Simple as that. Because the mundane mind creates, there is existence. If this mind does not create, the existence no longer there. Whatever has been created will no longer be there. It will return to its own source. It's just simple as that. The base, the foundation, very important. Always keep in mind, don't underestimate. Because if you try to reach high up without the base, you won't reach. You most probably will fall down. Just think in terms of everyday life. If you want to build a 20-story building without foundation, what is that going to be like? Just think. The taller the building, the stronger the foundation must be laid to support that tall building. That is why, if you wish to go far, make sure you have a good base, that you won't fall, you won't lose your way, you won't deviate, you won't go astray, that you won't take the falls to be the real. That's very important. This real way, so hard to find, and yet then many people don't realize that if you don't get it right, you don't have the way. That's why we always say, must hit the nail on the head. If you don't hit that nail on the head, you can just be lost anywhere. Or, as we have explained before, if the nail goes crooked, you deviate to the side, to the right, to the left, to all directions. But the nail, the straight nail on the head, no, it's not there. So you see, if you don't hit the nail on the head, you can be lost anywhere, you can deviate anywhere. That is why we always say, must get it right. Because as Buddha said, the right mindfulness, the right concentration, right effort, right view, right thought, all must be right. So we go to the Noble Eightfold Path, all right. I have to repeat again. Why? Because people take this for granted. They think, well, that's nothing. We know. Do you really know? If you do, you will be enlightened. You wouldn't have to cultivate the way anymore. Truly you have the way, truly you understand, then you should see very clearly what this way is all about. If you truly have the way, you have good comprehension of the way. And if you already have the way, you will understand exactly what I'm saying. Perhaps you can understand even better what I'm saying. And you can see beyond that. After all, what I'm saying is still guide to the way. This way, with a guide, you will realize. The way must be realized. That is why the proper guidance is important, showing you the right path, the right direction. You yourself cultivate according to this direction, instruction given, then you yourself walk the way. And if the instructions are right, the directions are right, the way is right, eventually you yourself will realize. Then perhaps one day you will truly appreciate what this way is all about. Not to be found in words, not to be found in books, not to be found externally, not to be found anywhere, the way of your own heart, the way of your own nature. If you truly walk, you will realize all yourself, that all teachings are instructions. All teachers are guides. They take you along the way. And this way you yourself eventually realize. But always remember, all this that has been taught to you are all important aspects of the way. Because most people think you know a lot. And when you look at things simple, they think there's nothing. We know. Do you know? Because if you do, you will have perfect understanding. And if you have perfect understanding, surely you will appreciate the way, what it really is all about. Then perhaps you will see the relevance of this teaching. How from the foundation we develop the way. From the very beginning we make a start until one day we realize. And this foundation is meant to take you right from the beginning through the way until you realize. Because this is the basic. It is the foundation for you to build your way. And this one eventually will become fruition. Is it 5 minutes? Yeah. So you should know the true Dhammakaya, the pure light of enlightenment, the clear mind sees clearly and realizes the true nature. So Dhammakaya actually the true pure mind, seeing nature clearly, seeing reality, realizing the self-nature. Actually, in clear mind, clear seeing, direct seeing, direct knowledge and vision, then the wisdom, realization, cessation, then nirvana. In the pure mind is the pure Dhammakaya. A pure mind that clings to nothing, that holds on to nothing. A mind that knows nothing, that has no place, that has no time. A clear, pure mind. That is the true Dhammakaya. And if you want to take Dhammakaya to its highest form, that is the original pure mind, or you say the true mind. Then from that mind will come the pure Dharma, the real pure Dharma, the Dharma born of the pure mind. Then we have the true Dhammakaya, which is Dharma born of the true pure mind. The mind has fully realized the truth, the reality. The true Dhammakaya belongs to the Buddha's nature. See the Buddha's wisdom. It is one of the 3 bodies of the Buddha. The Buddha has a worldly body, it has a spiritual one, and has the wisdom body. This wisdom body is called Dhammakaya. Even the Buddha's spiritual body, the Sambhogakaya, and the Buddha's worldly body, the Nirmanakaya, transformation. The Buddha can always take a worldly form, come into the world, in always spiritual form. This spiritual form can be anywhere. They are the wisdom born of the Buddha's nature. That one is called Dhammakaya. Dhamma body. The one is the real. And that nature cannot be seen in any form. Can manifest in wisdom, but you don't see that in any form. Why should you worry the part golf Habitio? You should be glad. You should be glad the falls has gone. Cái liại bị tiêu đấy à?
แล้ว
You should let the false is gone. The golf will took you long enough already. Time to wake up already and say, hey, no real golf. Playing a false game. So that's waking up. There is a waking up, there is a wisdom arising.
ก่อนเดี๋ยวตลาดลูกค้าเลยสิลูกค้าแล้ว
That you see, there's no real golf at all. And there's no you playing golf. That one was a gong state. Deluded state. Deluded state หลังโอแช่เป็นแบบ deluded. And all things come into being. All things operate everywhere. Then you come to realize, hey, no real golf, no real me playing golf. That was actually delusion. I was so tricked for so long by golf. Now at last, you see, I can really overcome the trickery. See, you don't realize that. Magic show. That's why you see, all form and mind appear, all give rise to magic show that people take so real. They don't know there is a show. All manifestation of form and mind young out to here. You should be glad now, see. 这行你讲金片路路金车，路卡车淡薄啦，卡金片路路卡车啊，路金款路卡车 in that sense you can express it in that way. That's why I say, you see, moments of true mindfulness, you really awake. See that? Lúc là mình sai gong gong, lúc là để xe, lúc mindful mind sharp at time, you see things more clearly. Then only you start to realize what you saw before, not reality. It was only an illusion only you didn't see, you couldn't see through at the time. So you just grab at it. Now when you can see through, you won't grab at it anymore, you let go. When you let it go, it's gone already. And you free yourself from it. Then when phải phiền gì you be glad. Less and less things now will bluff you already, or will cheat you, as you say. You won't get cheated by all the nonsense. That is why you see, you take the true path. Then when you see, walk the path, then you come to realization. When you see it's fruition, fruition is now you yourself realize. Sometimes people just use words actually the three body of the Buddha also they use words to describe this one. They say Nirmanakaya, then you got the spiritual body, Sambhogakaya, then you have the Dharma wisdom, Dharmakaya. All are also words. But when we come to understand, see, when we really come to understand words only we use to identify or to give marks to certain things so that we can come to differentiate and understand what they mean. Or once you truly realize, really, then you go beyond words. You see, all the things lose their names. Yeah, all lose your name. You also lose your own name. You no longer hold your name as very grand, very proud, really. That this is my name. When there is no I, who does the name belong to? You see that? As I always say, in the past you had another name. In the present you have this name. In the future you're going to have another name again, which is your real name. You've been born so many countless of lifetimes with so many names. Which one is the real name? Names also come and go. It's impermanent. If you attach to the name, you're suffering. The name very big to you. You see that? Very big. Just like Chinese people, they must have sons to carry on the name, the family name. It's no fun to carry on. They give trouble to the wife or to the daughter-in-law. You can't produce fun to carry on with family name. You don't realize the name can disappear. When you die, no more. When you are born as life, it's not the same name anymore. Where is your family line? Where? You don't bear that name forever. You can evolve another race, a different name. What happened to your family line? No, not yours anymore. Somebody else's. You see the reality of things when you realize it, and then all your own belief and thinking before you can come to realize the reality or the truth. You see that? Once you can realize, and once your sense doors start to shut out, you see the forms disappear. The external cut off already. Cut out the outside with the external forms and marks. All the sense data all start to fade already. They start to fade and go. Eventually, that's right. See, when you close the sense door, the data disappear already. Then your sense faculty disappear already. Then your consciousness also gone. Then what is there left? What is there left? You see that? If you have anything left, you cannot be free. That one thing left will still tie you. You're still stuck, you're still tired. You don't let go, you tie you. That is why I say when the Buddha teaches Nibbana, always we emphasize detachment and let go. To free yourself, you have to let go. If you can't let go, you can't free yourself. All things tie you. That's why we have to emphasize again, that Nibbana is not a place somewhere that you can go, so that people can say, oh, you can go to that place called Nibbana. Different people don't understand, so you explain, there is no place called Nibbana. Nowhere at all. Nibbana is nowhere. No place, no time, nowhere. Nibbana is only in your own heart only. The day you can realize the truth, the reality, then you realize Nibbana. Because many people, when they teach and practice Dharma, there's always something somewhere that people can always go and get. It's very great. Where is Arahant's nature also? Nowhere. Buddha's nature also nowhere. Although there's a difference between the nowhere of Arahant's nature and nowhere of Buddha's nature. You see that? The Arahant's nature, nowhere means nowhere. 100% nowhere. See? If nothing, 100% nothing. That's Arahant's nature, all 100%. Nothing. Only the Buddha's nature is different. Buddha's nature, nothing but everything. Nowhere but everywhere. There's a difference between Arahant's nature and Buddha's nature. The Arahant, 100% no, no more, completely no more. Finished. But the Buddha, totally endless, limitless, boundless. We say the infinite. He's no more, but still, he's infinite. That's wonderful, the wonder of the Buddha's nature. This Dharma of different levels, the different Nibbana of Arahant, different Nibbana of the Buddha. The nature of Arahant, nature of Buddha. You see, if you can understand this clearly, then you can see, that an Arahant is not Buddha. Buddha is Arahant. There are a lot of things you can't understand. It's very difficult for you to understand. Then you know. That's why if you don't realize, no way to understand. Just now I was explaining with you also, reading the books also, reading the higher Dharma also, reading sutras also, all the high level sutra also teaching high level wisdom, but still the teaching all still theory and knowledge. You know what I explained to you? You can describe in the book all kinds of fantastic samadhi, all kinds of this, that, so great and wonderful. How to get there? How do you achieve that fantastic samadhi? You see that? The real path cannot be found in the books or in the works. Everything that can be explained and taught so far all appear in theory. You can always say the mind has no sense. But how do we get that mind with no sense? You go and read all the books and see how.
Wow, thanks.
The mind that has no sense. No mirror, no mirror and no stand. No mirror and no stand. A mirror and a stand. The mind has no mirror and no stand. You know, you understand, that is very good, that is very high level, that's the way it should be. But then how do we get there? There was a question being asked, suppose you can realize Nibbana now, would you like to realize it? The answer would depend on individuals, of course. Different people have different answers. Perhaps you won't mind how Nibbana, you won't mind giving up everything and just go, you won't mind. But other people will mind.
I said, okay, no, I won't mind.
You won't mind. Some people say, I like to postpone it. I got a wife, I got a husband, I got family and property, I wouldn't go now.
No, I guess I see this a little bit better. I know, maybe by now I have experienced something that I know a little better, so it's not I won't have that attachment.
But before you came here, how would it be like?
I guess the most things that I would say is that the feeling that I would be attached to.
Yeah.
I was still attached to the family, things like that. The property to me, I never
very good,
attached to.
very good.
It's the family relationship
very
that we're
good.
attached to. Most likely, I would say that.
Very good.
That's the only. So this, you see, all this thing is including in this mindfulness, right?
This is basic training. Please to know, understand yourself, understand life, how to overcome, and then how to get out of it, find your own happiness. Eventually you can help others because you already know the way to correct it, teach them. And this is what you are doing here.
Yeah.
It's self-discovery, more or less.
Improve upon yourself, and
to open up your heart.
to open up heart, improve upon yourself,
to realize the truth of the world.
truth of the world.
You see with your own eyes, you feel with your own heart, you give your own experience.
Yeah,
You, as you say, you walk with yourself.
right.
Eventually, you train others to walk along. You take them along. That's the way. That's why you must open up your heart. It's not self-centered. You give out instead of trying to take in. That's why I teach the 4 basics. Open up your heart. See, when you're open, so much things to come out and free. If you're trapped inside, locked inside, you're always thinking of yourself alone. You can't reach out to people, you can't reach out to people, and the good things can't come in. So you open up and let the good come in. You get rid of the bad. You have anything to do. We have our basis. We are prepared to go out and help others. You yourself so locked up, you can't help others to open.
Great.
It's like we train ourselves first, then we are ready out, go. Then at least you know your path is correct. Then you take people along the correct path.
Mm-hmm.
That should be important, isn't it? If you don't know your way, then how are you going to teach people?
No,
You get lost, they get lost with you. That's what I'm trying to say. You must bring yourself first.
You bring
You
yourself.
are sure that you take others along. All will be happy in the same way. This is the concern for the welfare of people. If we can do it correctly, then we teach them correctly. If we can't do it properly, it will fall to us.
yeah. I guess what I have just or discover is a matter of time. Everybody will discover these things as soon as they start this practicing. Eventually will come up with this wisdom.
That's right. It is for everybody. You take this practice, everybody will discover themselves, discover the truth about life. It's for everyone. We don't expect you to go and that kind of teaching that you must emphasize on worshipping of the master. No, not on the master, on you. You see, that's why we emphasize on you. This way is for you. We teach you to take this way. Then when you have accomplished, you take others this way. It's for the people, for everybody, not centered on the master. The master should have you. You know, I always say I have nothing to say, nothing to lose. Only your benefit, not me.
But the master is just while you're going on your way and help you here and there to just, you know,
to guide you
along the way.
When you get lost, bring you back. When you get stuck, have to clear, show you the way. That is the guide.
Yeah. I'm glad that I discovered this, because otherwise you sit and you do all these things without really knowing the real beauty of that. Be lost along this, and then if you don't keep up with that, someday you may be, for other reasons, you just back out of that because you don't see any, the value of these techniques. Once you realize that, the rest of them will just keep charging on, because you know you're heading the direction. There's nowhere else. No matter how much difficulty you see, once you determine it, you know this is a matter of time. You just go on. That help you to build up your confidence and also to strengthen up what you're doing.
That's the way Buddha's teaching should be. Come and see for yourself, realize for yourself, experience for yourself. The best way to learn. If you have any problem, you can always bring it up, and you will discuss, and it will clear things for you. And you talk, and it's clear. And his way will be made clear for you. That's what a teacher is for. See? To show you the way, to help you clear the way so you can go. You go.
You have to compare with other methods, like you need somebody to take you from one place to the heaven or things like that. You're relying on other people, and after some practice, you don't see any result of that. You're discouraging. You don't know what are you doing. But this way, you know for sure what you're getting. You have a right, peace of mind in your heart.
You know your way. Once you can see, you know the way, and you can go. Any further guidance? Okay. Sometimes certain things may not be clear. I'm sure. Okay, you get set your mind. The way you take, you walk by yourself. The benefit entirely yours.
Another really beneficial for this technique is that